looked at some additional data after I made the last video, and this is central Indiana's environment. Kind of look at the environment ahead of any development in central Indiana going into eastern Indiana, and this is the most common thing I see right here. These analogs that show up for big hail potential, and these are from different offices, different events that had a very similar environment. Now, of course, with each model run and with every hour, these change. But to note here, several big hail producers, even from golf ball to baseball to even softball size. So it's not a forecast. However, this does let you know. This does let you know that the potential is there for some big hail, particularly with the early stage supercell thunderstorms that develop on Sunday afternoon across portions of central, maybe in eastern Indiana as well. But of course, the main threat will predominantly become a wind damage threat as an MCS develops and moves to the south toward Kentucky. So and with this as well, this is in the lower, approximately 3 kilometer of the atmosphere there, probably about at the 850 millibar layer. You can see there we have a red line. That's the temperature. The dew point's over to the left. Look at that. Look at that dew point, 74 degrees. There's going to be a lot of low-level juice no matter what happens out there. It's going to be a warm and humid day for certain. It's going to feel very tropical. And but the thing I want you to keep in mind there is that where that line bends, the red line bends to the right there, indicating warmer temperatures aloft. And you can't see it here. I kind of cut it off, but the dew points also drop off dramatically in that same area. You can see the green line going to the left, which is an indication of is an indication of lower dew point temperatures. And what that tells us is that there's warm, dry air aloft coming in, and essentially creating what we call the elevated mixed layer. And with that, what happens is the thunderstorms, because the dotted line there is the gap between the red and the dotted white line, that's the instability in the atmosphere. You can see kind of narrow there at the surface, but then it widens rapidly as it goes off to the off the screen there, and there will be a lot of instability to work right through that hail-bearing layer as well too. So it's like I said, the big hail damaging winds are definitely the main threats, with a little more questionable action happening at the surface. And because of this is a common signal I've seen up and down, ahead of the front in Indiana, where these storms will, in fact, develop, most likely, if not a little further to the west. The timing and exact placement is still a little uncertain due to the overnight MCS and its negating effects on our atmosphere. As you can clearly see there, these thunderstorms will develop from the surface, but then they're going to hit that warm layer and probably die until that warm layer is gone. And the question is, when will that warm layer be released? If the forcing from the west is too strong, obviously, it will be anyway eventually. But depending on the timing and everything, the lift to the west may rapidly force a squall line to develop with a little bit more questionable directional shear in the low levels, and potentially how long this cap stays on in the atmosphere. I'm leaning more towards a big hail threat initially, and then a damaging wind threat. Won't rule out isolated tornadoes, maybe with the early development, if not development within the line. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to see predominantly a wind damage threat with the system. But it is very much a near and nowcast event now, because if you try to get too much into the soundings, particularly around central Indiana, the precipitation and convection, it contaminates the sounding, and you get a lot of readings that aren't realistic to reality. So gotta keep on watching, but this is something of note that I have noticed.